Often when people give honest testimonies of their experience, they are using a short time to share what it has taken a lifetime to learn. That's exactly the case in this short video. It's mostly a discussion of the lessons learned, interspersed with short narrations. Paul said concerning the Christian's experience, "And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him." That is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 5. He is not suggesting that we might have forgotten, but rather states that we have forgotten. We are inclined to fret at his leading, to faint at his repeated rebukes, and to despise his chastening. And the word is despise. The Bible emphasizes that these close corrections only happen to God's elect, and because the scornful sinners go unchecked, the Christian is tempted to envy the ungodly. The Christian has chosen a path that he knows from the beginning to be narrow, but yet he still secretly craves standing room for worldliness and pride. He is himself deceived as to the real subtle passions that inspire his motives and choices. He must be undeceived if he is finally saved. It takes a keen pruning knife to inflict the faithful pain that will cut off these dangerous shoots which will stunt harmonious character development. That's what John chapter 15 verse 1 to 2 says. 2 years before my graduation, I'd formed the purpose to seek a career path that would grant me some freedom. I decided that this would be best secured in the path of self-employment. This was largely uncharted territory, especially at the time and with the people I knew. Most university graduates sought for direct employment. Having graduated with a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering, I wondered where to start, especially with my training, and also given the gap between our knowledge-based system of education and the practical needs of the world. I had also quite some dilemma on where to obtain starting capital. I took long hours reflecting on this path and writing down a plan. In every case, I felt I needed to be employed to start me off. While still seeking out for a job, I registered a company to be privately involved in engineering work, but it was not long after that I reconsidered the plan because of the unlawful practices that I discovered go into winning a tender in my country. I felt I could not be in this path and be happy, much less retain God's approval. The company even got pre-qualified for tenders in my home county, but I didn't pursue the matter further. To live daily with the frowns of a violated conscience was a price I considered too high to pay. While a good number of my classmates landed on prestigious jobs soon after campus, it took me 6 long years before landing on a government job, and even then it was not what you may term as a prestigious engineering job. I use the word prestigious because this is the sense in which success in these matters is usually understood. During this period, I tried my hand at various trades, but nothing really seemed to work. In some spaces, I discovered I simply couldn't thrive because the machinations that ensured success were incompatible with Christian values. I got some brief contracts in banks, and in one of them I was clearly advised by the human resource manager that in the long term, my values cannot allow me to work in the corporate world. He recommended a government job. At some point, the contrast between the glamorous lives of former classmates with my rather mean circumstances occurred to my mind and in my prayers. I sometimes asked myself, how come these people who don't even seem to pray succeed more and sooner, while Christians are abandoned to trial? You can imagine the earnestness that some of these reflections inspire in prayer. But the truth is that though such prayers may be honest and earnest, they're an expression of a deep spiritual immaturity and worldly mindedness. I needed several years to understand this, but perhaps you'll just need my experience to get it. Follow along. What, for example, in your eyes defines success? Are you sure it's not money or power? If your position and all you possessed were torn off from you right now, would you still retain that poise of soul by which respect is commanded and moral authority earned? Jesus taught us that what a man is has more power than what he has. He lacked the tripod stand upon which many seek to prop up their souls in artificial dignity. What I would call the 3 P's of man-made dignity. He was without possession and power and position. Yet he exerted the greatest influence this world has ever known. He was a terror to his enemies and an inspiration to his friends. This true dignity of soul is mastered most when the soul is torn off from all earthly supports and left to lean heavily upon its God. By his own testimony, Jesus lacked even a house. While this does not in the least condemn material possessions, it's a stern rebuke to our dependence upon them and being defined by them. Many feel hopeless and undone whenever they think they don't have enough of these things because they were defined by them. Society has simply shaped us like that. When people post their faces, their possessions and positions on social media, it's because these things define them. And it's how they'd love to characterize themselves to the world. It's too often the case that behind the glamour and facade, a practiced eye will usually discern a painful emptiness within. When some of these things are lost, they lose face and their souls lose the stamina to be of any influence in the world. They feel like dying. So the big question is, can your soul still maintain its stamina if you lost these artificial props? If you are in Jesus' material circumstances? The discussion between Jesus and the disciples, and particularly with Peter in Mark chapter 8 verse 27 to 38, precisely addresses this crisis in the human soul. Many simply follow Christ for material prosperity and power over their detractors. This was the case with the disciples, and concerning this frame of mind, Jesus said, "You savor not the things that be of God, but the things that be of men." Savor is used here in the sense of to perceive or set the mind upon. We analyze situations on the basis of human passions like shame, strife, pride, and covetousness. In making decisions, we consult these perverse humors of the soul instead of consulting duty and our life work. What Jesus said to Peter in this discussion, he said 2,000 years ago to me. Yes, and to you. Many of us, because of a feeble awareness of the real value of our souls, wish to compensate for the lack by money or power or glamour. We want to have wealth and power and point to these things as evidence that God is with us and is proving our enemies wrong. This is a terrible mistake. We savor not the things of God, but the things of men. The Bible says concerning God's leading, "For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee," listen to this, "in all thy ways." That is Psalms chapter 91 verse 11. Proverbs chapter 20 verse 24 sheds more light on the real meaning of all your ways. It says, "Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way?" Your ways then are those detailed circumstances by which your life work is to be defined. No man can foresee them nor decide what they must be. The Bible teaches that they are God's intellectual property, and he gives charge to his angels concerning the Christian to keep them in all their ways. Your way is the path for which God uniquely designed and adapted you, and you are irreplaceable. Often we choose another person's way as our own way. We want to be another man's shadow, even in temporal matters. My classmate is doing so well in a second-hand clothes business. I need to try it out. Then you launch out full steam upon this way, consulting nothing but impulse and the spirit of comparison and competition. When you make a terrible financial shipwreck, you remember God to blame him, having forgotten him at the start of this journey. Might it not be better if all who profess Christianity asked God for their life work with a spirit of complete surrender? Does God have to hedge us in by terrible things in righteousness from the dangerous paths of our own choosing? For me, the choice of a career path was mostly something incidental upon passion and ability, not something in which I thought God particularly had something to do. God had to lead with a faithful but firm hand. I did interviews in places in which I really thought I not only deserved the job, but also seriously needed it. The lack of a formal job was already costing me a lot, and how much it did, only God knows. But God continued to say no. For 6 years. What's interesting is that when I eventually got an opportunity, there were so many related chances. I had to turn a number down. Fast forward, I presently stand in the position where I find it possible to serve the government and practice engineering. My circumstances allow me to serve God as my first duty. From time to time, I know that my circumstances will change, but I've come to the place where I've handed back my life to God. I don't feel the inclination to compete with Him in the management of it. And I'd say with the wise man, man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? That is Proverbs chapter 20, verse 24. The big lesson I've learned my entire life is that God is firm in His interest upon our eternal salvation. Often, it is even a blessing to be in want so as to remain dependent upon God. There is a dangerous sense of self-sufficiency that normally comes with having all you think you may need. Or let me put it like this, both abundance and want are forms of blessings. But while want tends to draw the soul closer to God in humble dependence, abundance tends to draw away from God in self-sufficiency. It is easier to carry around an empty cup than a full cup. And He said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. That is 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. Lord, my heart is not haughty, nor mine eyes lofty. Neither do I exercise myself in great matters, or in things too high for me. Surely I have behaved and quieted myself, as a child that is weaned of his mother. My soul is even as a weaned child. Psalms 131, verse 1. Because I don't always have all I need, I'm usually keenly sensible to my need of God. I have depended on Him in basically everything, little or great. Some of these may be featured in later video updates. My very family, the parcel of land upon which our young country home sits, the pickup truck that has proven a real convenience and support to my family, all are direct answers to prayer. I pray because I need prayer. My life depends on it. And as my day, so has my strength been. The principle is, when you have enough, self-confidence whispers, I can afford it. I can do it. And there is danger that will not seek God's leading. That's why God did not give all the manna that the Israelites needed in the wilderness, but He gave every day according to its need. This was to sustain day by day a relationship with God. Give us this day our daily bread. The only safe way to be both materially rich and spiritual is to not set the heart upon wealth, but use it as a privilege to be a greater blessing to humanity. I always wanted to undertake a job that would not place me in harm's way spiritually, and to live in an environment that would support the mental and spiritual prosperity of my family. This, I believe, I've received at God's hand. To complain would be sinful ingratitude. Thanks for being part of us. As you can see, this is life that continues to unfold, a script that continues to be written. We ask you to still stay around. There's a lot more to share. As always, we encourage you to subscribe to the channel. You may want also to share this video with a friend or family member who may need it. We do not only share testimonies, but also give short Bible commentaries and accounts, especially under the History of Christianity series. We also welcome you to our live sessions. You will find the scheduled ones under the posts in this channel. Mungu akubariki. May the Lord bless you. Amen.